Sono Loris Alunni e lavoro in Airfire disegno e progetto impianti antincendio.
Sono Galli Marco e faccio parte dell'ufficio service per la manutenzione della programmazione e il controllo degli estintori e attrezzatura antincendio.
Io sono Loredana Rocchi e mi occupo dell'ufficio commerciale.
Salve a tutti, questo è il podcast di Airfire della Fondazione Evangelisti. Siamo qui oggi con Frank Rodriguez, un attivista, un influencer americano che combatte e si è preoccupato in tutti questi anni della diffusione del fentanyl. Sta cercando nel suo paese di prevenire il contagio maggiore e aiutare le persone già dipendenti da questa droga. Se vuoi presentarti.
My name is Frank Rodriguez. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm the founder of Morals Over Money, which is a nonprofit that helps to work with troubled youth and addiction, mainly in the Kensington area of Philadelphia, which is the largest open-air heroin market, now fentanyl market in the United States. So we go there, we provide haircuts, we provide treatment if the individuals are willing. But more than anything, we just go there to provide love and let them know that they're not forgotten and there is a better way of life if they choose to take it.
Frank, volevo chiederti qual è l'effetto di questa droga che noi la conosciamo associata quasi ad una droga degli zombie. Qual è l'effetto sulle persone? Cosa hai visto? Raccontaci qualcosa.
So fentanyl is the replacement now of heroin. At one time it was heroin that was mainly consumed in America, and now that has slowly evolved into into fentanyl. So the majority of people, from my experience, that use fentanyl they have a traumatizing past. They're using it to self-medicate, to run and hide from feelings. A lot of times you'll see on social media, on the news, where these individuals, after using fentanyl, they'll be in almost like a zombie-like state. So the strength and the potency of fentanyl is considered to be 100 times that of heroin. So you'll see people where they really don't know what's going on. They're no longer in control of their bodies, of their minds. It's a very, very fast and quick decline after ingesting fentanyl. A lot of times you'll see that not only with fentanyl but with a lot of the other drugs, when they take it, the individuals who are taking it, it almost looks like they're having a spiritual battle where they'll say that they hear God speaking to them, and they say that they hear the devil speaking to them, and you see people, they'll start running around, and they look like they're losing their mind, but to them everything that's happening is real. And a lot of them have this thought or this idea in their head that they're running from the devil, that the devil is chasing them, that the devil, is after them, where I haven't seen that with a lot of other drugs. Mainly with fentanyl, especially in the Kensington area, you see that it's almost like a spiritual warfare. It's not the typical, using and getting high and having fun or having these feelings of euphoria or anything like that. It's completely different.
Allora, volevo chiederti, perché tu ci hai raccontato che fai parte di un'associazione che si prodiga per aiutare queste persone che sono cadute proprio vittime, no, di se stesse e di questa droga terribile. Ho sentito e ho visto in vari servizi che anche in Italia, si parla molto di questo, anche come conoscenza per i giovani, che ci sono in America tante associazioni di volontariato anche a scopo no profit che veramente aiutano e fanno tanto per ricostruire queste persone distrutte. C'è un aiuto da parte delle istituzioni? Siete sostenuti da parte delle istituzioni in questa grande opera di recupero oppure no?
So in America right now, there's a couple ways that they look at treatment. So they're starting to provide safer ways to use. So they're allowing people to use, like you see in Kensington, they just allow people to use out in the open. So they're allowing people to use, but they're giving them clean needles and clean pipes, which, me personally, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. If we have to look at it like it's life and death, because there's people that are dying on those streets every single day, where if somebody was going to commit suicide, we wouldn't give them a gun, or we wouldn't give them, a building to jump off of. We wouldn't do that. So why are we giving them? There's no safe way to use drugs anymore. It's just a fact. When you go through those streets, you smell people's rotting flesh. I can show you video after video of people losing their limbs because of the drugs. There's no, and that's where America is so behind. But it's also because of there's so much money to be made in every single way. Without the drugs being on the street and people selling the drugs, police officers don't have jobs. Then that goes to the district attorney and to the judges and to the jails, and then the medical. As everybody knows, America, medical healthcare is a big business there. So that's also a part of it. I think, for them in America, it's all about money, and it doesn't matter if, people are losing their lives. As long as it's not one of their family members, then it's okay. But then the way it is now is everybody in America knows somebody who has lost their lives to addiction. So, sooner or later something has to change, because it's wiping out a whole generation. The generation that are supposed to be teachers and doctors and police officers, they're no longer going to be there. It's taking away literally a whole generation. You read in the newspapers of children finding what they think is candy, 4 and 5-year-old children, completely innocent, that are dying to fentanyl. Little kids that are smoking what they think is a vape or think is a marijuana joint, and it's fentanyl, and they're losing their lives. So America, it's unfortunately, it's all about money there. So they're literally putting profit over people's lives.
Qual è la fascia di età più colpita? C'è una fascia di età particolare oppure magari a livello generale, sia dai adolescenti agli adulti?
So people in America, I've seen 13, 14-year-old kids on the street homeless. So that tells me if they're homeless at 13 or 14 years old, they probably started using at 11, 12 years old. It's a very, very young age where a lot of the kids are finding, pills in their parents in the medicine cabinet. That's the way they get started, but also in school, with peer pressure and friends. In America, you watch movies, you watch social media, you watch music videos, and it's looked at like it's cool to use drugs, that it's a big party, it's fun, and they're not, we all know that's not the truth. But unfortunately, to a little, a child, 12 years old, 13 years old, to them, that's the truth. They think they're going to get high and have fun and make friends and be social. They don't realize what they're playing suicide.
Ciao Frank. Io volevo chiederti, da un lato, diciamo, tra virgolette, non umano, ma sul lato di business, quanto è grande questo business della droga in America?
It's a very, very, very big business. Just in Kensington, I would say that there's just one corner that might do, within the course of a week, maybe $1 million. And that's just one corner. Every single corner that is in Kensington sells drugs. Sometimes throughout the course of one block, there's 3 and 4 blocks that sell drugs. It's That's just one small area. It's $1 billion business. There's no doubt about it. It's a big business.
Forse è anche per questo che le istituzioni non vi aiutano, oppure evitano l'aiuto. Forse anche perché è proprio un business.
Absolutely. It's, like I said, it's at the street level, you have the people that are selling the drugs, right? So it becomes, for some of these areas, that's the little kid's first job, is watching out for the people on the corner selling the drugs. Yeah, so they're watching for the police, right? That's their first job. Maybe that family doesn't have nobody working in the house. Maybe that little kid that's only 8 or 9 years old, he's the only one working there. And that goes up, to now you have the police that are working there in that area. They get to work a lot of overtime. In America, you work overtime, you get paid more money. And then it goes to the lawyers. It's all the way up from each sector of society. It's beneficial for there to be drugs. If drugs go away tomorrow, think about how many people lose their jobs. The police aren't going to need to be there. The ambulance aren't going to need to be there. The doctors that treat everybody, what are they going to do? Are the guards in the prisons, what are they going to do? It'll never, ever go away because it's worth too much money there.
Per quale motivo hai scelto di aiutare le persone e combattere la diffusione del fentanyl? C'è una storia in particolare?
When I was young, my entire family, I grew up with addicts. My mother, my father, my aunts, my uncles, everybody in my house was addicted to heroin at the time. And I seen what that caused in my life. So I thought, when I was younger, I always knew that drugs were bad. And I never really used drugs until 2004, my mother was killed. And I had to identify her body in the coroner's office. And that night when I tried to go to sleep, I couldn't sleep. And the next night I tried to go to sleep, I couldn't sleep. And a nurse that was a friend of the family recommended to me that I take some pills to help me sleep. She told me that I was experiencing grief. And I took the pills, and that led to me having a addiction to pills. And then the pills led to heroin. And then once I started dealing with addiction myself, I realized that it was different. I thought it was, when it was my mom and my family, I thought it was just a choice. I thought they were weak. And then once I started to deal with it myself, I realized that it was completely different than what I had thought. Every single day when I would wake up, I didn't want to go and use drugs, but I had to. My body was calling for it. If I didn't, I got sick, like I never got sick before in my life. And then in 2016, I had an overdose, and I sniffed a bag and woke up in the hospital 3 days later. After that, I realized that I needed to make some changes in my life. And one of the changes that I wanted to do is to help the people that were still using. So I would go, and I'm a barber, I would go and do haircuts for them. And somebody took a video when I was cutting one of the guys' hair, and the mother seen the video and said that was her son, and she hasn't seen him in 5 years. She didn't know if he was alive or dead. And she asked me to do more videos and stuff like that. And that's sort of how it started. And I realized that when I was using, and so many of us as addicts, we forget that people love us. We don't even love ourselves. We don't like ourselves. So we forget that people love us. We forget that we're special. And we try to hide that or mask those feelings by using drugs. And I just realized that, I understand that I can't help everybody, but if they know that somebody cares about them and they're loved and it's somebody who understands them, I know it makes them feel good for that day, and that's what's important to me.
Frank, allora qual è la prevenzione per come si può pensare di risolvere una cosa così grande?
I think for me, I think the best way to stop our youth from using is to educate them, to start going to schools when they're young. But it has to be somebody that that they listen to, because a lot of times they hear stuff from teachers, but when we're young, we don't want to hear stuff from teachers. We have to find somebody that they're relatable to and teach them, to let them know that it's okay to make these choices, to not be in trouble, to not use drugs, to not make bad decisions. And I think that's just by making, so what I do, I allow the addicts to tell their stories, and I interview them so people can see them. And for me, I see a lot of people that they'll watch their stories and relate to them and say, man, I went through that experience, or my mom wasn't around, or my dad wasn't around, and that helps them to learn. But I think it's all about education. That's what it comes down to, is reaching them at a young age. If we reach them when they're in the streets, we're already lost. We got to get them before they go to the streets, because if we get them when they're in the streets, it's too late. We have to get them before.
Grazie Frank di essere stato qui con noi, e sei la dimostrazione che si può uscire da un periodo difficile e ricominciare una nuova vita. Grazie.